So in developing a why or exercising a why in your business, two problems come up. How do I develop it? And how do I get it to actually work for me in the business? Because a lot of people, you go to these training events and you can write down why this is important to you, but very few people follow through and actually use that to motivate their actions. And we'll talk about why that is, why thought, belief doesn't lead to an action right off the bat very much. The other one is, how do I develop my why? That requires some reflecting on who you are, looking in the mirror at your life, your qualities, your talents, your faults, being honest with yourself, and developing a framework for your goals from that foundation rather than some woo-woo, unrealistic, I want to be a millionaire, I want to drive a Mercedes-Benz, all that kind of stuff that's motivating, but it's not lasting. It's a temporary thing. So we have a why. This is my theory anyway. Our why gives us motivation. It helps us develop a clear vision. And that vision is what inspires us. Okay, so what's the difference between motivation and inspiration? Motivation, the word itself, if you look at it, has the Latin root moto. M-O-T-O. Well, what other words have moto in them? Motor. Whether that's in nursing, a motor movement, motor skills in the brain, or automotive, a motor for a vehicle, for a truck. Okay, so all those things have to do with movement and something that happens physically. Okay, so a motivator is something on the outside of you, such as being chased by a dinosaur down the road. You're going to run really fast. That's your motivator. Inspiration happens within. If you look at the word inspiration, starts off within. That means what's within. Spiro, that sounds a lot like spirit. Okay. One of the ways you can diagram the word spirit is that which gives breath. Where do you hear that? Spirit and respiration. Respiration, that's inhalation and exhalation. Okay, the movement of breath. If you're a biblical kind of person, in Genesis, it talks about how God breathed life into the human being. Okay, so that comes from within. Make sense? Your why helps you tap into that inspiration from within that's lasting. Motivation, such as on my vision board, I have a Mercedes-Benz. I don't really. It's an Audi R8, to be precise, but I don't care if I really get that or not. Those sorts of things are motivating, but if it doesn't create a feeling within you that is real, it's not lasting. Okay, so in an example with Shannon, I asked her, why do you love Victor? You just do, right? You don't have to question it. You don't have to prove it. You don't have to rationalize it to someone else. You just do. Love comes from within. Motivation, being geared up at an event. You have your Advocare events and they pump you up, right? That's motivating. It comes from the outside. But real lasting change, whether it's you trying to get enthusiastic about your business or you're trying to share the opportunity with another person, people buy feelings, not things. So that's kind of the difference between things that inspire you regarding your why and things that motivate you regarding your why. One is not better than the other. They all function as a holistic unit. All those things go together. You decide what you want out of life. That's motivation. You develop a vision for that thing. That vision, in turn, inspires you. And so in the process of creating or discovering your why, it's important to know why that why is important to you in all aspects of what is necessary within in order to reach that goal. So a lot of times we have a goal and we just think that if we work really, really hard and pull long hours and call all these people on our list and just go through our list and go through the system and fill out this activity log Shannon just bought, we'll get to the goal. But action without that inspiration is short-lived. Now we're going to go through an exercise. So draw like a line underneath your notes because this is a new section. And the first question is, So why I had you write these down are your actions. So the very last question I asked about what do you do with your time, that is a direct reflection of your identity, whether you realize it or not. Your identity, your I am blank. That determines your beliefs about yourself. I think I am skilled. I think I am beautiful. I think I am a hopeless case. Those things are reflections of your identity. If you grew up in a family where people beat you down, your identity may have some cracks in it. Your beliefs, as a result, may not be that great about yourself. Okay, if you are in a family or you're in a relationship where you're built up a lot, or you're really religious or spiritual, and you think that God really loves you and all that kind of stuff, your identity maybe is holding together pretty well. That determines your beliefs about yourself. If you feel good about your identity, you will boost yourself through your self-talk. You will believe good things about yourself and your potential. And the otherwise is also true. Those beliefs about yourself create feelings. Whenever you look in the mirror and you say, I am a beautiful creation of God, I have unlimited potential, that's going to create a feeling. You're either going to feel good about yourself or not good about yourself. Those feelings, how you feel about your job, how you feel about yourself, how you feel about your relationship, determine your actions. If you feel great about yourself and think you're worth your goals, that will determine your actions. You know, and another thing we make a mistake about, they do these pushes, like, if you do this within 30 days, you'll get this bonus. You know, there's always this time pressure, and your team, your upline's like, oh, come on, get on this conference call, and it'll pump you up and go sell. Well, you know what it conditions? If I can just finally get my break, I'll quit my day job. If I can just make this work for me, out of all the careers I've tried and I've failed or I've quit them and I'm broke, if I can just get to diamond level, my life will be fine, and all the crap that happened to me whenever I was younger, it'll all just go away. You're putting all your time, all your energy, and all your worth, you're defining your life by a thing rather than what's within. If you can patch up your spiritual, that will lead to a better mental, what you believe. If you patch the mental up, your self-talk on a regular basis, that changes your emotions. And I only know this because I've been in what I call the dark room. It is the area where everything that went wrong in our lives bubbles up and haunts us. What do most people do? They're afraid to go in that dark room. Because in the dark room, this is my illustration, the walls are solid mirrors. If you push against the wall to get out, you're pushing against your reflection the entire time. The darkroom process for developing photos, you know, you can't rush that. There's a process to it, and you got to spend time in the darkroom to develop the photo. Same thing with us. Every single time, if we try to get out of our darkroom with something external, we're going to keep staying in that darkroom. One way or another, we'll patch ourselves up. We'll patch up this wound we've been carrying around all our life. We'll patch it up within 30 days. I'm going to make $3,000 and I'm going to go to Diamond and all that kind of stuff. But as soon as something goes wrong there, that Band-Aid gets taken off and that wound is still there. It festers and gets diseased and creates a bigger problem, and then you got to amputate your arm because you got staph infection. They let it heal from the inside out. Inside out, that's the key. Inside out. When we have a big fat wound, we patch it up with, I'm going to get this new car. It's going to be great. Or I'm going to get this like awesome boyfriend. It's going to be fantastic. Meanwhile, that's not healing. You go to the dark room and you look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm going to love you through this, and we're going to find a way to clean up the spiritual, mental, and emotional areas. I firmly believe from experience that everything else in the physical, your business, will fall into place. But that's a tough thing, and I just dumped a load of information on you. Is everyone following? Is it making sense at all? Hitting a nerve with anybody? Yep. We are the ones that are ultimately in our own way, but sometimes our past is like a ninja. It hides in the dark, and we don't realize it's popped out until it does. And it's like, oh yeah, remember this one time? This one relationship you had? This one job you had? Remember whenever you had to quit that and give up? Remember that time when you failed? If we still allow those wounds to haunt us and determine why we do what we do, that wound will never close, period. So you've got to change how you define yourself. You've got to change what you believe about yourself and how you talk to yourself. And that will change how you feel. How you feel is what affects whether or not you work out, whether or not you make a business call, whether or not you get out of your home, whether or not you take a bath every day because you're depressed. But I mean, do we wake up every day and really give a thought to, how do I identify myself? No, it's all subconscious. Do we intend, I'm going to wake up today and I'm going to purposely avoid accomplishing my goals. I'm going to purposely eat the whole box of Pop-Tarts because I don't want to lose weight. Am I going to purposely look in the mirror and shoot myself down? I don't think so. Unless you got, I don't know, that's a little odd. I don't think that's normal. They all happen subconsciously, especially if you're a perfectionist. We think that if someone doesn't buy from us or, support our goal, we must be doing something wrong. But how about instead of what are we doing wrong, how are we feeling wrong? How are we speaking wrong? How are we believing wrong? If we have some not so great beliefs about ourselves, don't we supplement it with different things? Like addictions? If our life is divided up into spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual as I am, mental as I believe, emotional as I feel, okay, that's where addiction comes in. That's where the quick fixes come in. A lot of people get on weight loss things, quick fix. Ooh, I can do this. Oh, I'm high on the excitement. Those are emotional. But the emotional is short-lived if the spiritual and the mental aren't in alignment with that feeling. As soon as you take the hydrocodone after surgery, it wears off after a couple hours.
And the pain pills.
Right, pain pills, that's a good example. I mean, that's going to hurt, and you're going to become dependent on that emotional fix. But if you've healed the wound, you don't need the hydrocodone anymore. You're good from the inside out. What would you say? Do you have a question?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's
okay.
Up?
Now the emotional, that's short-lived, and spiritual is.
Spiritual is all that you are. That's I am blank. How you define yourself and your life. It's your truth. Some people's truths are actually lies, such as I'm not worth anything. That's a lie. Really? Were you created to be worth nothing?
Oh.
I feel like one thing that has gotten me over a personal hurdle is the I am and not needing validation from anyone else.
Yeah.
If you get caught up in what people say, I am, who am I? I mean, that's, for some, I used to think I am this nice house. I am a nice car. I am, and I know it's not that because when I was in real estate and when we started out, we had what kind of car was that? The Caprice. It leaked oil. Seriously, it smoked at times. But I sold lots of real estate. Right. I wasn't that car. But when I started selling lots of real estate, I started accruing lots of debt because I thought, oh, these realtors have all this. I need it. It wasn't until I went through some things and wasn't making $10,000 a month anymore that I realized half of those realtors were in bankruptcy. Half of them had husbands at home beating on them. So it was all a facade. And so it was saying, okay, well, with Abby, who am I and why I'm that person?
Yeah. And
a lot of it wasn't me. It was everybody else.
And it takes a long time to recover that, right?
It does.
Usually when people write a book, they're writing the books because it's something they need. That they're,
All this, I had to learn myself.
Well,
I had to go through it. Had to go through it.
And it's okay if you put it in there. It's okay.
Yeah.
And business name is Metamorphosis Project. She asked me, how'd you come up with that name? You know, my logo has a butterfly on it. And lupus, the international symbol for lupus, is a butterfly. But also, my story is a metamorphosis. It's a transformation from the inside out.